I don't see anybody online yet. Just us so far.
Okay. I see that it's now 4 o'clock. And I'm going to chair the committee meeting today since Bill Ulrich is not in. My name's Randy, and I'm going to call the meeting to order at 4 o'clock. Public comment for items that are not on the agenda. Anybody? Committee consideration, discussion, and possible recommendation. So item 3, cost of living salary adjustment. Ola, you want to run down that?
I'll run down that, and then as chair, structure this any way you want. Since we have employees here, we want to make sure that they have every opportunity to discuss whatever they want with the committee. And so I can go through that, and then if you want to have them ask any questions or make any comments, and then talk amongst yourselves about the actual subject. However you want to structure it, feel free to do so after I through the whole intro.
Yeah, we're going to be kind of informal here because it's a committee meeting. So we'll make sure that anyone that wants to speak or talk about the subject on their health care, we have plenty of time for that. But go ahead and give us the rundown on COLA, Allison.
Okay, so in the 26-27 budget, we informally adopted an estimated 3% cost of living. So that is already embedded into the 26-27 budget. At the time, we did not know what June over June CPI was going to be. It is 3.3%. So we are fairly close. The difference between 0.3% difference is the nominal cost, about $7,500. So this is not a huge budget consideration. We won't need a budget adjustment or anything to that effect to implement a 3% versus a 3% cost of living salary adjustment. Traditionally, we present a recommendation to adopt CPI as it is June over June. And so this is being presented as a consideration for a 3.3% salary adjustment. This will be an adjustment to the existing salary schedule that went into effect July 1st of 2025. That's when we did our last cost of living. This will apply to all salaries on the schedule with the exception of the general manager. It's negotiated by contract. So this is up for your consideration and recommendation to the full board. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer that.
I think it's, like you said, pretty standard procedure. We budgeted 3% and CPI is showing 3.3%. That's necessary to keep people even with inflation. CPI index. I personally don't have a problem recommending 3.3% increase.
Yeah, nor do I.
Okay, so that one's simple. Let's just recommend to the board that our report to the full board of directors be a recommendation to increase 3%.
Perfect. And then do we want to make sure that we don't have any employee comments on that item?
Oh, on the subject of COLA, do we have any employee comments? Okay. And now we're going to move on to let's see, cafeteria program. That's a complicated subject. I'm telling you, I read as much as I could, and it's, from what I understand, you get an allowance every month. I wasn't real clear about whether that amount changes if you're a single person as an employee or a family of 4 or 5 people. What is the case on that?
So there is a equitable cafeteria allowance for health insurance benefits. It is currently $2,650. The current structure of the cafeteria allowance is set based on a family level mid-grade HMO plan. That's where the $2,650 was set at based on the premium for 2026. And so the district has a cashback benefit of up to $650 a month for any unused portion. And that was set by the board as somewhat of an equalizer for those who do not utilize the full $2,650.
I'm sorry, what was the cashback?
$650 a month max. And that only applies to active employees, not retirees. That benefit is not available to
Right.
retirees.
So that.
It's also one of the reasons that we have historically based our cafeteria allowance on that particular plan, is because it's also the most utilized by our staff. So it appeals to the majority of our family level.
Select HM. Oh, it's at the top. 2, 7, 20. Our allowance doesn't change based on how many family members there are.
No, that's what the $650 cashback allowance does. It's somewhat out a little bit. So that essentially you get some of what you don't spend if you do not have a family. But no, there's not an allowance based on tier.
I think I read in here somewhere that our budget adjustment for this line item was 5% increase.
Yes, so the 26-27 budget accounted for an average cost increase to premiums of a 5%. And the average increase is over 8% amongst the plans, and that's specific to the plans that our employees are taking. It's not a considerable budgetary cost, and I'd like to remind the committee that these costs are reimbursed by the retirement trust fund that we have at the end of every fiscal year. The only thing that is not reimbursed is the cashback benefit, but all premiums are reimbursed. So it is budgeted because we front those costs each year, but they are reimbursed.
Is there a recommended? I'm looking for the Anthem Blue Cross Select to see how much it might have crept up.
It's 12.19%.
On page 5 of 9. Up in the header.
Yeah, I made a couple of phone calls. I have friends that work in the valley. My daughter's works for Ojai Certified. She's a teacher, a high school teacher. A friend of mine works for MJ Tank Lines down on the avenue. She's HR manager. They were both saying expected increases somewhere around 13%. And, each of them treats their employees differently, depending if they're unionized or not union. I was trying to get information because this is a complicated subject. So anyway, would anyone that's here from as an employee like to say anything about their health insurance and how you feel about it?
I would.
Liz, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Director Berg and Director Reed. Thank you for your time this afternoon. I'm here to ask you to select option 1 to continue to maintain the mid-tier HMO coverage that staff have today. Speaking to you today about employee health benefits kind of carries a weight, a gravitas to it that, and I don't wish to portray that I've rallied coworkers or pulled staff or ensured anyone else's support prior to speaking. But I think at the same time, their attendance here shows that this is an important matter to us also. And although making a public comment during a personnel committee like this is not something I typically wish to do, I also see it for what it is, which is my opportunity to communicate directly with you, the board, and speak with you directly and ask you to recommend option 1, increasing the monthly cafeteria allowance so employees can maintain the same level of health coverage as they have today to the full. For many years, this board has made employee health care a priority by ensuring that employees and their family have access to quality, affordable health insurance. And I have an excerpt from a letter dated August 2010 that was prepared that reads, health insurance coverage is one of the most important components of the district's benefits package. It is extremely important to the morale, health, and welfare of employees and in the district's ability to retain present employees and recruit new ones. That letter was related to when some of the health insurance changes were made back in 2000, and all these benefits were kind of established to cover the employee. And
Remember, I was here.
yeah. This continued commitment has been more than just a benefit. It has been an investment in the people who work here and their families that support them. Often, option one preserves a longstanding benefit by allowing employees with family coverage to continue enrolling in a mid-tier HMO plan without incurring additional out-of-pocket premium costs. It also continues to provide access to healthcare providers and specialists that employees and their families can use locally in the Ojai Valley and surrounding communities. Many of the cheaper options shown in the table in the packet are not available locally. The premium increase is proposed by CalPERS for 2027 are beyond the district's control. If the cafeteria allowance remains unchanged, employees with family coverage will face a difficult choice: pay more out of pocket or move to the low tier HMO plan to avoid additional costs, which represents a reduction in a benefit the board has consistently supported for many years. Maintaining meaningful health benefits is an investment in the district's future. Comprehensive health coverage remains one of the most important factors in recruiting and retaining dedicated, high-quality employees. Preserving this benefit demonstrates that the district continues to value its employees and recognizes the importance of this community. I respectfully ask the committee to recommend option one to the full board. Doing so continues the district's longstanding commitment to employee well-being, supports working families, and preserves a benefit that has long reflected its board's investment in its employees. Thank you for your consideration.
Done. We're complete. I'm curious about HMO versus PPO. I thought PPO was considered a higher standard. Is that right or wrong?
The district had originally, when this, I can historically talk as an employee here, had historically based the cafeteria on availability to obtain a family level PPO. Unfortunately, those costs are not as stable as the HMOs. This jump is relatively surprising this year. And so in order to stabilize costs about 4 or 5 years ago, the board elected to base the cafeteria on the mid-level HMO versus the PPO. So at one time, it was the board's decision to try to make the PPO accessible at zero cost to a family. It just became very hard to achieve that because the costs were relatively unstable year over year. So the answer to that question is some would answer yes to that question, that is a better plan. Because the availability of providers is quite a bit larger and much more at an individual's discretion.
So I see various plans being put to use by the employees, but you said the majority are Anthem Blue Cross Select HMO, and that's the one that is for the family is going up to $29.64.52 per month. And you're saying it doesn't necessarily reflect on a cost to the district because we're reimbursed to a certain extent.
That is correct.
Did anyone else have anything to comment about their health coverage?
If you don't mind, I'd like to say a few words.
Oh, we got who?
Hey,
Sorry, who is-
Randy.
Who I got over there?
That's Mark Chevelle, your old collection
Oh,
system
Mark.
supervisor.
Recognize you, and I need my.
Well, I'm very relaxed. I'm retired now, living on the river.
No more Navy routine jogging to work like you did for a while.
Not jogging to work, but I do walk every morning, and I do take the dog out on the river a couple times a week.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. A couple things. One thing, the district has always supported and recruited well because of the benefits. The reason the PPOs aren't used anymore was the divergence from fully supporting that. When I first got there, almost everybody was on the premium PPO plan. over time, you guys gave the incentive of the money back, and that was fine. I think more people would use the better plan if it was available. The choice of providers in the Ojai Valley is pretty tight on an HMO, and you're driving all the way down into Ventura and Oxnard. On the retirement side of things, we have very few things that CalPERS offers that actually works out of state. The most universal is the premium PPO. The gold plan, it isn't even accepted out of the state of California. That's why they call it the gold plan. Actually, here in Florida, my premiums are lower than they would be in California. I know that's a huge surprise. But since the money is fully reimbursed by that $7 million plus account that is a lockbox, can't be used for anything else, I'd like the committee to entertain covering retirees fully instead of just locking it into what the employees benefit number is. It's basically no cost to the district, and I've run the numbers. I've had mathematicians in the family that have PhDs run the numbers, and there's no way you can exhaust that $7 million account, even if everybody at the district were to retire tomorrow. So just
Yeah,
food for thought.
I appreciate that you brought this up, Mark. I was wondering if it's possible that we could pair what he just mentioned about cost to the district to fully fund the retirees. Is there a way to project that? Because it'll be some of the board members are very sensitive about cash and how we spend it.
Yes, so if you recently recall, the board opted allowing the retirees to submit their Medicare costs deducted from Social Security. So those retirees will be 100% covered. Mark is a non-Medicare retiree. And so that is why his costs are a little bit higher. So that would be, the premium would go unutilized by Medicare retirees, sufficient for them now, the $2,650 or whatever it would be. This would be specific to non-Medicare retirees. Their costs exceed what the allowance is if they live out of state, for the most part. So there are some unique circumstances.
I don't know that it really impacts the district to much degree.
There is no impact.
I was going to say it doesn't sound like they're.
No, there's not. But that is a change to the current policy because the current policy does not delineate. And so we can totally entertain that as a possibility because you are correct that it is no cost to the district. But that is a policy change specific to retiree costs. So that would be a separate discussion that can be brought to the board.
It doesn't necessarily have to happen next week. Board meeting. I think it should be.
No, it can extend all the way to August, but the policy that you adopt is what both the retirees and the current employees utilize to make health insurance. Our retirees, their choices are limited because of available care they're getting. If they or somebody like in Mark's circumstance, there's only one plan available to him where he lives. I can definitely some data. I will not have data available for all retirees and what those costs are until I receive their reimbursements because I don't know what they're paying out of pocket for their total premiums.
Yeah, no, it's short notice. I'm just thinking that if we want a positive outcome, there's going to be a lot of questions. And if we say, I don't know, you might not get a yes vote.
Yes, the answer is I do not know what all of our retirees are paying. They make their arrangements directly with CalPERS. Obviously I can reach out to Mark and see what he's saying. That's easy enough. Some retirees I don't know. And we will not have that data until October when we submit their reimbursement requests. Not know what is being deducted from their Social Security or being paid directly to any provider outside of CalPERS.
Tom, did you have any questions or?
Not on the,
I just want to clarify that the retiree premiums are reimbursed out of the trust fund. Like I said, it's a nominal increase in cost. We budgeted the 5% to the current cafeteria at what the objective is for the mid-level HMO. Like, I do not foresee a budget adjustment necessary to accommodate that.
I appreciate it. You know, personally, I'm ready to recommend that we follow the recommended item 1, as Liz suggested. Because it seems fair that we can't control the cost of healthcare, the percentage that it's gone. The district isn't really under much of an extra burden. I think it's fair to maintain where we are right now. So item 1, I would vote to increase the cafeteria amount to $29.65 a month. I don't know if
I
Tom
would agree with that.
And then just as soon as I have retiree healthcare costs, full costs, I will bring that data to the board as an agenda item for discussion. I just do not have the information because it has to be provided by them, and we've sent out requests for that.
So I'm in favor of making the retirees whole. There's 1 vote out of 7 directors. There you go, Mark. I don't know if many of you remember he used to come in one time, he was like 30 or 40 pounds lighter than his normal. And it was because he was jogging to and from work. Jesus. Suddenly he was a long distance runner. I'm sorry, did we cover everything? Because
We did.
are there any other comments? Please. This afternoon, Tom, anything? Okay, so we have recommendations that board through this, and it'll come up on the in the next week.
That is correct.
Okay, I'm prepared to adjourn the meeting at 4:22. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you. One comment for the people online, I started the meeting, I started the wrong meeting. Tomorrow, the video will be the entire meeting. So the people online missed the beginning. Apologies for that.
Oh,
You're gonna meld them together.
yeah. Nice.
Have the picture.
Okay.
Like this.
Thank you.
Oh,